Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today for another DMD Adobe tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at Adobe Premiere Pro, but we're not really going to be doing too much in Premiere. Instead, I'm going to be showing you how to best organize your project folder outside of Premiere in your File Explorer or Finder, depending on if you're using Windows or Mac, in order to make sure you have the best possible workflow for your editing project. It's very important, especially for Premiere, that you have a strong editing workflow outside of your project because of the fact that Premiere is a non-destructive editing software. So that means if I come over here and I bring in a video file, bear with me here, I'm just pulling up some video. All right, so if I bring in a video file into Premiere and I go and I edit it, it's not editing the original file at all. It's only editing what's in Premiere. So what this means is that if you bring footage into Premiere or audio or anything and you then start editing your project and you save it, but you go back into Finder and you change the name of something or change the location of a video file that you've been editing, Premiere won't be able to find it. And you have to go through your Finder, your File Explorer, and relink the media. If you're not organized in your project folder, this can be a real pain because you might have all of your files scattered all across your computer. You might have them in an old project folder and you might just not know where anything's located. So if you accidentally change something, you will not be able to reacquire that for Premiere and you'll have to restart parts of your project. So that's why it's very important to have a nice and organized workflow outside of Premiere. So what I always do is I just create a new folder on my desktop or wherever I'm editing from. Let's just call this Premiere tutorial. And I normally come into here, my main project folder. That's what I'm going to call this. And in this main project folder, I make a few subfolders. So I always make a new subfolder for video, for sounds, like sound effects, for music, for exports once I'm at that stage. And then of course, I make a project folder, which is where the project folder will eventually live. So once you have your all the folders you need created, you'll start dragging some content in. So I'll just show you this with the project I recently used, UFO video. It's pretty simple. I made a little video of a UFO abducting a cow. It's a lot of fun. So let's just say for this Premiere tutorial, you see sometimes I'm going to name it footage, sometimes video, whatever you're comfortable with. So here I got some footage. I'm going to drag it in here. And then, so this is just the raw footage. But then, so I'm just dragging some random raw footage into here. But then in here, I also have some exports because this is a finished product. So sometimes you're going to have video from two different sources. Right now, I took some raw footage and final export. But let's just, for the sake of this argument, say that this raw footage is from, let's say I was using a 2-camera setup for the shoot, and this raw footage is from camera A, and this export is from camera B. So if I have two different cameras, normally I'll go into my video folder, and I'll create a folder called A-cam, and I'll create a folder called B-cam. So let's just call this A-cam, and let's call the raw footage B-cam. Again, this is just another trick to keep you organized so you know what footage comes from where. So if you're getting notes about where certain clips are and where good footage is, you're nice and organized and you can find that. And the same thing with sounds. You'll kind of come into here. I got some sounds here. So you'll just bring some sounds in, and then you'll do the same thing with music. So once you have your project folder all set up and you have some video in there, some sounds in there, some music in there, you can open a new Premiere project and you can begin editing this in your new solid workflow. So just come into here. I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to call it tutorial. And I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the right place. So right now I want to make sure this is in the desktop, my Premiere tutorial, and my project section. Select the folder. Okay, and now I'm in my project tutorial, which is saved with all of my other assets in my Premiere tutorial folder on my desktop. So this is where your solid workflow pays off, because you can come into here, open Premiere tutorial. You can take your music folder, your sound folder, your video folder, essentially all the folders where you're going to store assets you're editing with. Exports and project. Exports are for the final exports of this project, whereas project is just where the file lives. So you don't need to import those two folders. So you drag them in, and now you're ready to start editing. So yeah, this is really the first step to video editing, is making sure you have a strong, dependable workflow. It keeps you organized, especially on big projects, and it's just a good habit to get into. It might seem like unimportant and not as exciting as everything else, but without a solid sense of organization with your files, you're going to struggle with editing bigger and bigger projects. So it's important to kind of establish a base and then just get into the habit of doing this for all of your projects. It just makes your life easier. So I hope this was helpful to you, and join us next time. Thank you very much.